Guys, it's been a while. Been a hot minute. If you've stayed with me all this time while I haven't been posting content, thank you so much. Nice to see you again. And if you're new here, hi. I'm Amy. I live in South Wales with my son and my partner, our dog and our cat. And I will say this is the second time I've filmed. I actually filmed a video that was an hour long, only to realise that I had to edit quite a bit because the dog kept getting me up. She is now fast asleep over on the sofa. Thank God. And all you could hear in the background was her gnawing this bone. And at first I thought it'd be okay, it might be okay, but it absolutely was not. It was awful. So anyways, I'm going to jump straight into it. I've got some cross stitching, I've got some knitting. I want to talk about the book I'm reading. I want to show you my art. And then maybe I'll do a little bit of a life update at the end. What I'm going to do this time round is condense down what I was talking about before, because it was an hour long before. And then looking back, trying to edit the video, I'm like, I can make that a little bit shorter. So yes, I have primarily been monogamously stitching on the Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along since New Year. What I'd found was that I was getting very overwhelmed with all my projects. So I think I have roughly around 18 whips. So what I did was I bought 2 of those huge plastic tubs. I put everything I owned in it to do a cross stitch in it, and I've taken them up to the attic. And then now downstairs I've got basically the 2 projects that I'm currently working on. I know I said I was monogamous. I was monogamous until yesterday. And then I've actually got a few more projects in my craft trolley. I think I've got 2 or 3, but I haven't actually touched those at all. So that's fine. So I packed all this stuff up, I put it in the attic. I did the same for all my knitting. So with my knitting, I packed all my wool, everything, and only left my whips down here. I have since frogged 3 knitting whips, finished one, half finished another. I'll get to those and I'll show you. So starting strong with my Heaven and Earth Sow. Isn't it beautiful? I'm not too sure on the artist, or even if there is an artist. I'm pretty sure this is an AI Designs thing. So there's the mock-up. So sorry about the glare. There's the mock-up. Very cute. I can't see if you can see. And that's the design. So I'm currently, without the glare, I'm sort of around here at the moment. So yeah, put that down for a moment. So I did work out that with the amount of stitches left for the whole year, it would equate to 240 stitches a day. And I haven't been working on this one in a scroll frame until about 2 or 3 days ago, when I decided I wanted to go a bit more rogue. I wanted to see the whole piece. I don't love the tension on it. Someone did explain to me why it's not so tensioned. So I'm going to try and carry on the best I can. And then, who knows, maybe I'll move back to my Q-snap, or my, it wasn't even a Q-snap, it was a hoop. So I do have some stats. So in total, there is 89,010 stitches. I have done 18,670, which brings me to 20.98%. So considering we're not even a quarter of the way through the year yet, I am nearly a quarter of the way through the cross stitch, which is lovely. 4% off being a quarter of the way through. I actually started this on the 28th because the chart, the whole entire chart, was given a bit early. and I think I reached like 1,600 stitches before the first. I know amongst the Heaven and Earth community there's been a bit of anger with lots of things, the use of AI, the fact that the chart had been handed out in its entirety, which meant that basically there's some people who've already finished and some people have been grumbling, saying that it's a bit soul destroying basically because they can't stitch as quick as that. But I think we're there to cheer on each other, and I'm actually just really happy for the people who have finished already. I think that's amazing progress. And it certainly doesn't ruin my journey. The little thing that kind of annoyed me was basically there was this exclusive Amy Stewart chart that was supposed to be, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be given once I can't remember. It was supposed to be given once you'd finished the entire design, something like that. But they decided to just give it to everyone anyway. And I think a lot of people who had planned to do the sale just went, well, I don't have to stitch it now. I'm only here for that. So we did lose quite a few people that way. But I'm really happy with this, actually. I'm happy with it. And I'm happy getting the whole chart because it means that I can like dart around as well, and do whatever pieces I want. I'm not typically into AI, but so my son and I, we both always laugh at this little funny meme video, and it's from Ice Age basically, and it says, "Oh look, there's a dandelion. It must be the last one of the season," which is how I came to do the dandelions. So my goal on this is to just plow on really. I will show you my other notebook actually. I bought this lovely journal for the new year, and it's just turned into be a bit of a tracker really. So what I did was I wrote every single date for the whole entire year down. So I've got pages of it. And then each day I write how many stitches I've done and the percentage. You can see there's quite a few zeros. At one point I'd got so far ahead that it didn't actually matter that I had a couple of weeks off. I think I had close to 2 weeks off. And then when I started again on the 23rd of February, I realised I was ever so slightly behind, so I picked it up again. And I think I'm about 2,000 stitches ahead now, so if I wanted to, I'd have about 8 days off. But I have no plans to do that. So yeah, one last time. It looks so good, especially at a distance. It's gonna look so good on the wall. I think it will probably come to about here, and then it does go down all the way down here. So a fairly decent size. And anyway, so I was happy working monogamously on this, and then yesterday, well, for a few days I've been thinking, oh, I really miss some of my other Heaven and Earth designs. But equally, because having a daily stitch goal is really working for me, thought I'd lost the needle then. Because it was really working for me, I thought, what if I introduced another HAED and set a daily stitch goal? So that's exactly what I did. This one, trying to do it without the glare. Ooh. This one is Tagalongs by Hannah Lynn from Heaven and Earth Designs. And I've been working on this, I've got no idea when I started it, to be honest. However, my stats for it are as follows. I've done 12,400 stitches out of 22,050. I'm 56.24% through it. That might be the best I can do. No, it's just creased, I'm sorry. So I've decided I want to finish this in the next 30 days. I did start yesterday. I get 620 stitches yesterday, purely by filling in all this dark blue down here. And that was 620 stitches, and it also zeroed out that colour. So yeah, it's beautiful. The dark grey on the penguins, if I do all of that, that equates to 720 stitches, which I might do tonight. And we'll also zero out a colour, which is a great feeling. And then I've also, in my planner, very much did the same, but instead of writing the dates, I've just wrote 1 to 30. I've got to do a minimum of 343 stitches a day. There you go. So in 29 more days, this one should be complete, if not sooner. I'm hoping sooner. And then I think I'm going to just carry on that way, quite frankly. I think it's a really fun way of setting yourself mini goals. And obviously I did double what I really needed to do yesterday, nearly double. So in theory I could have tonight off if I wanted to. And that's the way I see it. So they're my 2 stitches. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting cravings to start another one. I'm thinking maybe like a little primitive stitch. I don't want anything bigger than that, and I don't want anything full coverage either. So long story short, I've been watching a YouTuber called Breathing Yarn, and she posted a video the other day about small projects and, you know, quick wins, and I was just like, yes, I feel that. So I feel like I'm gonna try and do smaller projects throughout the year, because she was saying like a lot of us, especially when we're experienced in our craft, we want to take on these large impressive projects, and it's true, you want to do something impressive. It's always going to be a lot more impressive to finish like, you know, a mega cross stitch than something little. However, she was speaking for herself, but it's very much the same for me. You get all this steam and you want to start, and setting up the large project's very fun, and getting started's always like inspirational. And then you get a part way through and you're like, you know, this is going to take a lot more time, and I'm not getting the dopamine from this anymore. And I feel like I get like that too. So I'm gonna take inspiration from her video and just very much try and do the same, smaller projects. So yeah, you may or may not see a new whip, a third whip, by the time I film the next video. I'm going to try my hardest to hold off for a little bit, or at least get comfortable doing, you know, the 240 on this and the 343 stitches on this. And if I find that I'm keeping up with both, then maybe I will have time for a little bit more, but we shall see. So moving on, I'm going to show you my knitting. I've actually got a finish for once, and hopefully I'm far back enough you can see. This is the Holiday Slipover by the Holiday Slipover by Petite Knits, and I'm just so proud of myself. It doesn't actually suit my body shape very much, which is a shame. And it's also a little bit shorter than I wanted it to be, which is also a shame. However, I'm so proud of myself for finishing something. I feel very inspired to knit. What isn't inspiring for me is that I don't really have the money to buy yarn at the moment, or not enough money to buy the yarn that I would like. So I've got a fair amount of stash yarn upstairs, and it's all acrylic, all of it, absolutely all of it. I might have the odd skein of 100% wool, or, you know, things that are a bit niche, like you wouldn't necessarily just pick up to knit anything with. So I feel very inspired to knit. I feel very uninspired by my stash, which is very unfortunate. One part of my stash, I look like a floating head. One part of my stash that I feel I didn't like very much is this apple green acrylic double knit yarn. So I thought, what can I make with that? I'm not very into colour. I'm certainly not a pink girl, really. Oh, I meant to say, this was knit using Hayfield Bonus Super Chunky. It is 100% acrylic. It is quite soft though, to be fair, but I can imagine, I haven't worn this yet, but I can imagine it's just going to be roasty toasty. Anyway, I started a very small start on the Streamline Tank. I can't remember who it's by, but I will put a Ravelry screenshot here. And this is constructed very differently. This is knit in 2 pieces and then seamed together, whereas this one was seamless. I don't think I had to stitch any of this together. I did learn the Italian bind off on this one, which I was quite impressed with. So yeah, anyway, I've cast that on. It's a way to use up some stash yarn that I may not use, and it's also a way to get a bit of colour into my wardrobe. So we'll see how we get on with that. Also on the go, quite an old whip, but half a finish equally. I finished a sock. It makes me laugh because some of my friends call me Dobby, and now I've got a sock. So now I'm a free elf. So yeah, lovely stripe and wool. I can't remember what the yarn's called. If you really want to know, then by all means drop me a comment and I will find out. Or you can add me on Ravelry. My handle's Amy Tay, AMYTAY. Easy peasy. And I've just been using this sock pattern, which is an ancient Wendy pattern that my mum and I both purchased from a yarn store a very long time ago. That's the yarn. And I have got a very small start on a cuff for the second one. So every now and then I pick this up, and I won't do masses, but I do enough, you know, enough to sate me for a bit longer. And that's the thing with knitting. I never feel as, what's the word? I never feel this pulled. I must get it done now. I just do it as and when I feel the need to knit. Whereas with cross stitch, I always feel like goals need to be met. I believe I've probably been knitting this sock for a couple of years, not gonna lie. However, the slip over, I finished that in about a week, which is very good for me. The yarn had been about 3 projects before, and I'd unwound it each time. I'm not a pink girly. I think super chunky is just a little bit like out of scale for what we wear as humans. Like it looks just a little bit too big, you know. So going forward, I won't be buying any more super chunky. That's all of it now. I do have something as part of a haul. I went to somewhere called Trago Mills in Merthyr, and I'd never heard of it before, but apparently there's a few around the UK, and they had the most amazing craft aisle, arts aisle, and then craft book aisle. But I picked up this yarn, James C. Brett Marble Chunky. Look at the colourway. So anyway, I'm going to give a chunky knit a go. I definitely won't keep buying like these chunky knits though, knowing that they're just a little bit too thick. So lastly for whips, I have the J sweater, which again, I'll put the Ravelry page up on the screen. Here it is. I love this one. I must have been doing this for a couple of years as well. I reckon at least 2 years. And what had happened is I'd gone past the yoke, probably down to about there. And then knitting the body was taking so long. So I've only recently started knitting the body again. So I've probably knit from about there. But it's just so time consuming. It's boring. It's good for mindless knitting. Anyway, I got really bored at knitting the body, so I picked up the stitches on a sleeve as well. Started a sleeve, but unfortunately, you can probably see I've got 2 holes. I've got one there and I've got one on the other side. So when I finish this, I'm just gonna like darn it together so that hole's gone. And yeah, I want some more knitted finishes, but I'm just so uninspired with my yarn. It's very unfortunate. Anyways, that's that one. When I last filmed this video, I did have haul. I'll just tell you about them. So I went to a craft de-stash sale in a community centre, and there was cross-stitch stuff, but none of it really to my taste, so I didn't buy anything. The wool, I'm assuming there was lots of wool that got sold, because as we were arriving, I saw people walking out with bags and bags of it, and then when I got in there, the tables were like nearly empty. However, I'm not going to pull it all out, but I managed to get just meters and meters of fabric. So I would like to do some dressmaking, especially for the summer, make some nice like little summer dresses. And then maybe that will inspire me to make some little summer cardigans as well, knitting. The only other thing is, so it was my birthday last weekend. My mum gave me some money, and I really wanted like a proper knitter's mat and pin, like blocking pins, knit blockers, whatever they're called. However, the mats were like 30 quid for a pack of mats, and they look just like this. This is to go under gym equipment, and the difference is this is quite a bit thinner, which I don't really mind. So a pack of these cost me £8.99, which that's the route I went down. And then I bought these knit blockers, pins, because I really wanted to block my vest, which I did. And you pin your knit in, you shove it into the foam blocks until it dries. And unfortunately, because a lot of my stuff is acrylic, I have to use steam to block it to relax the fibres. Whereas if you're using like animal fibres, it's better to just like soak it in water and then let it dry, blocked naturally. So yes. Right, if I show you my art next. So bear in mind, I've never really done any drawing before. I have, but badly. Around December time, I bought an artist pad, and I was just going on Pinterest, and I kept finding these little step-by-step tutorials, and started following them, and I realised that I quite enjoyed it. So I'll show you what I've done. Yeah. So I didn't have an eraser for a while, so you can still see my pencil lines, but hey ho, the feet look weird. But that was my first attempt, and I found as I went on, like I can see flaws. Like this one's pretty good. I think the little pigeon's pretty good too. It's a goddamn piggy owl. It's from a funny video. I then did some flowers, and then I think around this point, my partner, he bought me some Amazon Basic Artist pencils, and apparently they're quite good dupes from the Prismacolor ones, which are quite expensive pencils. Yeah, I think it was from the next picture on. I started using them. A little piggy. This pig reminds me of, do you know when you watch horror films and they've got a pig mask on? It just looks a bit demonic. But I must have had inspiration from the film Babe, because then I went on to draw a sheepdog. And I think this is fun. Oh, this is probably the best, like so far from those. Could even be a children's illustration. Then next up, so I was starting to practice a lot more with colour. I don't think the duck or the chick or the duckling, whatever you want to call it, is that great, but I think the colouring on its
I'm not
feet...
quite sure how to help you with that.
That was a bit creepy. I'm very creeped. Did I say anything that sounded like... Anyway, so next up, I drew my dog Poppy Marie. And I think this one's actually pretty good. I think the feet are a bit janky. And I think her eyes are a bit weird. But overall, bear in mind, like, I've never really done any drawing before. This was the first thing I drew without looking at a tutorial. I just drew it from, like, my eyes. I was quite impressed. And then, Santa. Unfinished Santa. I really do like the colouring pencils and how I did that. His gloves good as well. I just couldn't gather the want to finish this picture, which is very unfortunate. Doesn't mean I can't continue though in time. This one isn't very good at all. Totoro. I'm going to argue and say it's because I used pen, not pencil. An artist never blames his tools. And then I did a mushroom house again in pen. It's very cute, but not my best work. And then I did another mushroom, and this one's in watercolour, and I think it's a lot better. So I think watercolour and pencils are my jam. I think that's it. So last up, I just want to talk about my book. So I finished a book at the end of January called The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And it was so beautiful and so amazing that every other book I picked up after that was just, it was not good. And I had to keep abandoning them until this one now, Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And honestly, I am so into this book. It is so good. So The Great Alone I would have classed more as sort of like a drama maybe. This one is definitely more fantasy. Well, it is fantasy. I don't want to give too much away, but it's about a wizard who basically takes a girl every 10 years, a 17-year-old girl, and the main character has just been taken. But it is so good. So I would definitely recommend this book. So yeah. I feel like this video has been so higgledy-piggledy because it was a restart. I've had to edit out a fair few pieces because my child keeps coming down and being rude to me. However, thank you so much if you've got this far in the video. I will just give a little minor update just to say, like, the reason I haven't really been filming is because I've lost more teeth and it makes me feel so self-conscious. However, I do love being part of like the crafting community on YouTube, and I just hope that, you know, there's no trolls that are going to be horrible to me. Yeah, I already feel bad about my teeth. I'm trying to get it sorted. But it has knocked my confidence a great deal. So that's the main reason. But next video, hopefully I will have 3 whips to show, or a lot more progress on the 2 that I'm already doing. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Thank you for watching. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.